Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we process the mountain of information you need and distill it into pure, actionable insight.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are focusing on, well, an absolute icon of American comedy, a towering figure, quite literally, who has successfully established residence in, multiple universes of entertainment.
That's a great way to put it.
We are doing a deep dive into the career of Judy Gold.
It's an essential subject, really, because when you first encounter Judy Gold, you see the stand-up comic.
Right, the 6'2" presence, the energy.
Exactly, that intense stage energy. But our sources reveal an artist who is so much more.
Way more.
She's simultaneously an acclaimed actress, a highly decorated Emmy-winning writer and producer.
Which is amazing for a comic.
Right, and a successful podcaster, and this is crucial, I think, one of the nation's most dedicated, really frontline advocates for free speech.
Exactly, and that's our mission today, isn't it? To kind of synthesize all these seemingly disparate roles.
Yeah, how do they all fit together?
How does the same person thrive on the gritty floor of the Comedy Cellar, win these prestigious awards behind the camera, write these really political solo shows that premiere off-Broadway, and still have the time to, compete on the Food Network?
It's kind of dizzying when you list it all out.
It really is.
It requires this level of professional diversification and just resilience that, honestly, few artists achieve.
Yeah.
So the big question, the one that sort of anchors her nearly 4-decade career, she's been active since 1986, basically.
Wow, yeah.
How do you maintain that intense relevance and, that comedic edge across such wildly different artistic demands?
That's the core of it.
And we think the answer lies in understanding her willingness to take risks, a trait that really started right at the very beginning.
Okay, so let's establish the foundation before we jump into the Emmys and the activism and all that.
Good idea. The basics.
Judy Gold was born November 15, 1962. She's 62 now, born in Clark, New Jersey. Grew up in a Jewish household. And interestingly, this is fascinating, she was initially a classically trained musician.
Right. Studied piano.
Yeah. Which suggests this kind of structured, disciplined, artistic approach. It's an interesting context for someone known for, that chaotic, high-energy stage presence.
It really changes the narrative, doesn't it? She wasn't like, I'm going to be a comedian from day one.
Not at all.
She was a music student at Rutgers University. And the career pivot, it wasn't some calculated choice. It was, pure chance.
Which is amazing.
She first performed stand-up in 1981. She was only 19. And the only reason she did it was because someone dared her to.
The power of the dare. I love that.
Yeah.
And that initial decision, right, to take a spontaneous, really high-stakes risk.
Yeah.
It kind of became the thematic foundation for her whole career. You could even trace it to her arguments for free speech later on.
That's a great point. She proved early on she was willing to jump without a net, basically. And that risk, it paid off pretty quickly. By 1984, she made the leap from New Jersey college stages to the proving grounds of Manhattan.
The big time.
And this was the era of the comedy boom, The stakes were incredibly high back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And within just a year, she hits this major milestone, something that really signaled her professional potential. She was passed at Catch a Rising Star in 1985.
Right. And we should maybe pause on that for a second.
Yeah, because passed today might just mean getting booked.
Exactly. But back then, 80s New York City, venues like Catch a Rising Star, the Improv, they were essential gatekeepers. To be passed meant you were, professionally ratified. The club was saying, okay, this person has the skill, the potential to be a headliner. It was a big deal.
A huge deal. It wasn't just a booking. It was like an acknowledgement of professional standing, right?
Absolutely. And that early success, it led her straight to becoming a regular fixture at the legendary Comedy Cellar.
Still there, isn't she?
Yeah, she's been performing there since the 1980s. Think about that longevity. In a venue known for launching, the greatest careers, Chris Rock, Seinfeld, Chappelle.
Everybody.
To still be a regular there speaks volumes about her sustained quality, her consistency.
And it's interesting, when you look at who she cites as her influences, You see a direct connection to that fierce observational comedy style she has.
Who does she name?
She's named 3 towering female pioneers: Joan Rivers,
Of course.
Phyllis Diller, and Toady Fields.
Okay, yeah, that's a crucial insight into her comedic DNA right there.
Totally is.
Because these weren't just funny women, they were trailblazers. They used humor that was sharp, often self-deprecating, sure, but also fiercely candid about womanhood, family, social norms.
They didn't hold back.
Not at all. And Gold is like a modern inheritor of that tradition, using her persona, the tall, outspoken Jewish Limbian mother, to deliver really powerful, insightful material, just like her predecessors did.
She really built her comedy on an established lineage of truth tellers.
Well put. Yeah.
So let's follow that lineage onto the page then.
Good transition, because, yeah, to really grasp her versatility, we need to look away from the mic for a bit. Look at the script page.
Exactly. We are entering section 1, the power of the pen and the mic. Because while the public mostly sees her on stage, a huge part of her career success happened behind the camera. And here's where the resume starts to look genuinely unique, especially for a stand-up comic. Judy Gold is a 2-time Daytime Emmy winner.
Yeah, that right there is the ultimate evidence of her multi-hyphenate status, isn't it?
It really is.
And she didn't win an Emmy for, like, a stand-up special or performing.
Nope.
She won for her work as a writer and producer on The Rosie O'Donnell Show.
That detail is so significant. It means this edgy, kind of alternative-leaning comic successfully navigated the highly mainstream, very tightly structured world of daytime talk show production.
Think about that transition from the cellar stage to a daytime writer's room.
It speaks volumes about her ability to structure comedy for a mass audience.
Right.
And to work within a large creative team, which isn't always easy for stand-ups.
Right. And Rosie O'Donnell, she was a comic herself. She needed writers who could deliver that specific brand, accessible, warm, but still sharp humor.
Gold fit the bill.
Her success there just confirms she understands pacing, timing, mass appeal, skills that, frankly, are often lost on comics who only ever work solo.
That professional flexibility is just so rare. And the writing credits didn't stop in daytime, did they?
Not at all. She successfully transitioned to prestige cable television. She served as a writer on the final season of Pamela Adlon's critically acclaimed FX series, Better Things.
Okay, now that is a tectonic shift.
Right.
Moving from the high-volume, quick turnaround of a daily talk show like Rosie's.
Yeah, churning out material constantly.
To the intimate, deeply character-driven, and structurally really complex world, a prestige cable dramedy like Better Things.
It just confirms that her skill set is transferable. Across genres, across formats. She isn't just relying on her stage persona. She's employing genuine screenwriting and structural narrative abilities.
Yeah, she clearly understands story.
And what's fascinating here is how that ability to write and produce probably informed her stage work, and vice versa.
Oh, for sure.
Her comedic mind is clearly structured. She understands how to craft a narrative, whether it's a single joke, a talk show segment, or a whole season arc for TV.
Which is probably why she's maintained such a steady stream of output with her own recorded stand-up.
Exactly. She's had major network specials, Comedy Central, Logo, HBO, big platforms.
And she has 3 released comedy albums that kind of document her evolution over time.
Let's look at those. The album titles themselves, they really track her personal and professional journey, you know?
They do. We start with Judith's Roommate Had a Baby in 2004.
Right, which clearly focuses on the anxieties, the absurdities of early motherhood, co-parenting, very personal observational humor, rooted in that specific time in her life.
Then, jump forward to 2018. The album's titled Kill Me Now.
Huh. Yeah, that reflects a shift, doesn't it? Towards perhaps more intense, maybe more political, or just generally frustrated humor as the world was changing around then.
Feels like it. And then, most recently, in 2020, we get Conduct Unbecoming.
Which launched right as the whole free speech, cancel culture debate was really exploding.
Perfectly timed.
It positions her firmly in that role of cultural commentator, which she's really embraced.
So that's a, 16-year evolution, documented just through the audio releases.
Yeah.
Showing her ability to adapt her material to the changing societal atmosphere,
Yeah.
while always retaining her core identity.
Absolutely. And speaking of commentary, her work extends way beyond the stage and the writer's room. She's got her own platform now, too.
Right. If you want to hear her voice now, she hosts the podcast. It's Judy Show with Judy Gold.
Which is great, by the way. Very her.
And let's not forget, for more than a decade, like a long run, 1999 to 2010, she hosted HBO's At the Multiplex with Judy Gold.
I remember that, yeah.
She truly has mastered the art of being this reliable, witty voice in pretty much every single available medium: print, stage, TV, audio.
And that media presence led directly to this kind of unexpected transition into being an expert commentator on cable television.
Yeah, the True TV thing.
Exactly. She appeared on 114 episodes of True TV's World's Dumbest between 2008 and 2013.
114 episodes. That's not just a few guest spots. That's practically a steady job.
It really is.
What the statistic tells you is that Gold is highly reliable, incredibly fast on her feet, comedically,
Quick-witted.
and able to deliver witty, usable commentary consistently. Production teams value that reliability immensely. It positions her as this trusted source of instantaneous comedic analysis.
And you see that trust reflected in her high-profile appearances across the board, right? She pops up everywhere.
Everywhere. The Tonight Show, Colbert's Late Show, The View, The Today Show, even The Drew Barrymore Show.
She's accepted in every corner of the talk show world. Late night, daytime, news commentary. She fits in.
And then, just when you think you've got her pegged, she decides to apply that high-stakes, competitive energy to the culinary world, which is just fantastic.
It's kind of the ultimate expression of her willingness to just put her personality into new, completely unrelated formats.
Right. She didn't just, attend a cooking class for fun.
Nope. She competed in the high-stress, very technical environments of Chopped All-Stars.
Which is terrifying.
And Rachel vs. Guy, Celebrity Cook-Off on the Food Network.
Imagine that. The professional comic, who's also an Emmy-winning writer, being told, okay, make a 3-course meal with squid ink and gummy bears under a 20-minute clock.
Yeah. It's just another example of that original DARE principle at work, isn't it? Taking an intense risk way outside her comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Really shows that her brand isn't tied to a specific medium like just stand-up. It's tied to the delivery mechanism. Her personality, her voice, her perspective, and that unwavering confidence.
Okay, so we've established her success across stand-up, TV writing, producing, commentary, even cooking.
Quite the list.
Now we need to address the area that has really defined her public persona, especially in the last, say, half-decade or so.
Her role as an author and a really fierce activist for free expression.
This moves us squarely into Section 2, focusing on free speech, family, and the stage.
Yeah, and this shift from primarily stand-up material to being a vocal policy advocate, it's perhaps the most significant evolution of her career recently.
The central text defining this era is definitely her 2020 book. Yes, I can say that. When They Come for the Comedians, We Are All in Trouble, published by HarperCollins.
And that title alone, it's a direct, pretty confrontational response to the whole atmosphere comedians found themselves in and still find themselves in, really.
No kidding.
The book serves as a serious literary argument. It's not just a collection of jokes or anecdotes.
Right. It's a defense.
It's a defense of what she sees as the core purpose of comedy. To challenge, sometimes to offend, and to act as society's, canary in the coal mine. It directly addresses the rising debates around cancel culture, the policing of speech, and it got serious attention. It was featured in the New York Times Book Review.
Which is major for a book by a comedian on this topic.
Definitely.
And the power of the book, I think, is that she connects the theory of free speech, the First Amendment arguments, the philosophical stuff, with the practical, day-to-day necessary reality of the stand-up stage.
Yeah, she argues that comedians must be afforded the freedom to test boundaries. Because without testing, how do you even know where the line is? Or where it should be.
That's her core point.
And what elevates her from just being a commentator to, a legitimate policy advocate is her willingness to back up that literary statement with actual institutional action.
She's not just tweeting about it or talking on TV.
Exactly. She's not just appearing on The View to debate it. She is actively serving on the board of directors of the National Coalition Against Censorship, NCAC.
Okay, that is crucial. That transition from conic to board member shows she's genuinely dedicated to the structural fight for free expression.
It's a serious commitment. And she appears regularly as an advocate on major news networks, MSNBC, CNN, News Nation, arguing the case that restricting a comedian's voice today basically means restricting everyone's voice tomorrow. That's the slippery slope argument.
Right, and this fusion of the personal and the political, it's maybe best expressed in her really prolific career writing and starring in her off-Broadway solo shows.
The solo shows, yeah.
These works are where she takes the raw material of her life, her identity, her family, and constructs it into a specific political or cultural statement.
She has this remarkable trilogy of one-woman shows, often co-written with Kate Moira Ryan, that really serve as a kind of chronological roadmap of her evolution.
Let's start with the first big one, 25 Questions for a Jewish Mother, back in 2006.
Yeah, the show was extraordinary. It was this blend of memoir and almost ethnography.
How so?
Well, it wasn't just about her mother. It was based on interviews she conducted with over 50 Jewish mothers across the United States.
Wow.
So she used these outside voices to establish this kind of universal context for Jewish motherhood.
And then she wove her own story in.
Exactly. She expertly interspersed those external stories with deep, personal anecdotes about her own mother and, crucially, about her life as a lesbian mother raising two sons.
Mm-hmm.
The brilliance of that show was how she made the intensely specific details of her heritage and her identity immediately relatable to a wider audience. It proved that, the core experiences of motherhood sort of transcend cultural boundaries. It was a huge success. Ran at Ars Nova, then moved to St. Luke's Theater for a long run.
Okay, then 5 years later, 2011, the second installment comes out. The Judy Show, My Life as a Sitcom.
Right. And this represents a thematic pivot, doesn't it?
Seems like it.
She moves from analyzing her heritage, her roots, to analyzing her cultural upbringing. Specifically, using the classic American sitcoms of her youth, the ones she grew up watching, as the frame for her personal anxieties and experiences.
That shows incredible cultural fluency, right? To take these deeply personal, maybe even painful memoir moments.
Yeah, real-life stuff.
Yeah, and filter them through the light, often kind of cheesy, nostalgic lens of The Brady Bunch or The Mary Tyler Moore Show. That requires serious writing skill.
It's a really clever device. The New York Post called it gleefully self-deprecating, which sounds right.
Yeah.
And the New York Times called it highly entertaining. It's just a masterclass in using pop culture as a narrative vehicle for autobiography.
Okay, so heritage, then pop culture. What's the culmination?
The trilogy culminates, fittingly, with the most directly political work, yes, I can say that, which premiered on stage in 2023.
Based directly on the book.
Exactly. She's moved from personal heritage to cultural commentary to now a direct defense of the right to perform all that material. It brings everything full circle.
And it was directed by B.D. Wong.
Right, which again, it just confirms the seriousness and the theatrical weight behind the political message. It's not just stand up with a point. It's a crafted piece of theater.
So this shows an artist leveraging literally all her platforms, the book, the news appearances, the theatrical stage, to push this single powerful message about freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm. And that focus on the deeply personal, it brings us directly to her identity, which is really the engine for so much of her best material.
Let's talk about that. Gold is openly lesbian. She has two sons, Henry and Ben, from her nearly 20-year relationship with her former partner, Sharon Callahan.
And her willingness to bring her family life, her specific family life, into her comedy. That was pretty pioneering for a mainstream comic of her generation.
Absolutely. You didn't hear that kind of open discussion much back then.
Right. She famously referenced her children, her parenting, extensively on that sharp, really combative Comedy Central series Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn.
Which was not a warm, fuzzy kind of show.
Not at all. But that open discussion of being a lesbian mother and navigating everyday life, the ups and downs, it helped demystify those identities for a much wider audience.
Made it normal.
Yeah, normalized it through humor. And her personal life continues to be this kind of fun thread. She's currently with her partner, Elisa Halpern.
And how they met is kind of funny, right?
Yeah. They met in 2007 on a blind date that was actually set up by Time Out New York magazine as like a feature.
That's hilarious. Talk about pressure.
Right. But it worked out. And that delightful detail, it kind of grounds her, shows that even amidst the high-stakes world of activism and performing, she maintains a sense of humor about the ordinary struggles of dating and building a relationship.
Yeah, makes her relatable. Beyond her own family, though, she's incredibly active within her specific community.
Mm-hmm. Both the LGBT community and the Jewish community.
And this isn't just like identity politics, checkbox ticking.
Yeah.
It seems like genuine connection and advocacy.
It does. Politically, she was active in support of the Democratic presidential campaigns back in 2004 and 2008. She consistently connects her personal platform to her broader political beliefs.
She understands that her voice carries weight within those communities, right?
Yeah.
And she uses the visibility she gained from stand-up and acting to try and serve a higher purpose, it seems.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Okay, let's pivot now. Because if the first two sections really established her as this powerhouse writer, producer, advocate, this final section, section 3, focuses on the remarkable range required for her straight-up acting career. separate from her solo shows.
Right. This is where that concept of duality we talked about becomes maybe most visible.
Totally. Because she is not just performing her own material here. She is a working professional actor who moves pretty seamlessly between comedy, drama, and even classical theater.
Her television history started early. Her first TV role was way back in 1991 on Roseanne. Played a character named Amy for one episode.
But the big career moment, the one that really established her as a reliable ensemble player early on, was securing a series regular role.
On Margaret Cho's sitcom.
Exactly. Margaret Cho's 1994 sitcom, All-American Girl. She played Gloria Schechter for 18 episodes.
Now, All-American Girl, it only ran for one season, unfortunately.
Right. Short-lived, but kind of iconic now.
Yeah. But being a series regular on a network sitcom, especially one that was trying to tackle complex cultural identity issues back then, it confirmed her ability to deliver consistent performances, develop a character week after week, all within the structure of a major studio production.
It proved she could play well with others, basically.
Yeah. And her guest and recurring roles since then demonstrate this phenomenal, almost jarring range. This is the duality we have to analyze.
Okay, like what?
Look at her work just within the Law & Order universe. She didn't just pop up once. She played two completely separate serious procedural roles.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was two different ones.
Yeah, that's the essential insight into her acting skill, I think. In 2000, she played a character named Deborah Patterson on the original Law & Order. Okay, fine. Then, just 2 years later, she returns to the franchise, but this time on SVU, playing a forensic gynecologist.
A forensic gynecologist.
Right. This means she was able to completely disappear into the serious, technical, often grim world of procedural drama, separating herself entirely from her loud, brash stand-up persona.
That's incredible. The same person doing high-energy, observational stand-up about her kids and her mother.
Yeah.
Is convincingly playing this impartial, technical expert in a police drama about horrific crimes. That ability to shed the recognizable self, that's the hallmark of a true actor.
Exactly. But then, flip the coin. She's equally capable of slipping into the heightened, often surreal environments of modern comedy.
Like what shows?
Well, she appears as Leslie on The Drew Carey Show. She plays herself on 30 Rock, which is perfect metacasting, playing the comic who knows everyone in that world.
Right.
And then taking distinct character roles like Jerry in Two Broke Girls or playing a rabbi in The Big C. She can do broad comedy, she can do cringe comedy, she can do meta comedy.
And her transition into the modern streaming landscape shows her longevity too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. She played Chaya in 5 episodes of Better Things between 2020 and 2022.
Which brings her writing credit full circle.
Right. Fitting naturally into that sophisticated, semi-improvised, dramatic environment. And she's the librarian in 2 episodes of Awkwafina is Nora from Queens. Another very specific comedic tone.
We also see her pop up in all those New York comedy staples over the years.
Oh, yeah. Like a Barnes & Noble clerk in Sex and the City, Dr. Madden in Girls 5 Eva, Angela in Broad City.
She's like the quintessential New York utility player, isn't she?
That's a great description. The reliable character actor that New York casting directors call when they need someone who can definitely land a joke, but who can also deliver some sharp, dramatic context if needed. She brings authenticity.
But the acting depth, it doesn't stop with television and film. She has tackled serious, classical stage work. Stuff that isn't her own solo material.
Yeah, the transition from comedy clubs to Shakespeare in the Park is kind of astonishing when you think about it.
It really is.
Truly. She was a featured player playing the role of Gremio in the Public Theater's all-female production of The Taming of the Shrew.
In Central Park.
This proves she possesses the physical and vocal command required for classical theater. It's not just about the rapid-fire wit of stand-up. Gremio is a substantial comedic role in Shakespeare, and it demonstrates that her 6'2" presence is a genuine theatrical asset in any context.
Okay, so Shakespeare. What else?
And if Shakespeare wasn't enough of a stretch, she also moved into musical theater. She co-starred in Off-Broadway's Disaster, the musical.
It's like a parody of disaster movies.
Exactly. And then, for perhaps the most inspired piece of satirical casting imaginable, she played Eleanor Roosevelt in Clinton, the musical.
Get out, Eleanor Roosevelt.
Eleanor Roosevelt. Playing a historical figure, even in a comedic parody musical, it requires research, conviction, and a commanding stage presence. You have to sell it.
Wow.
And if you connect this back to her activism, it's interesting, right? She's using her performance skills not just to entertain, but to inhabit figures of power and influence,
Right.
which is kind of what her free speech arguments require her to do intellectually as well.
That's a fascinating connection. Finally, we see her being recognized and documented as a cultural figure whose presence is kind of required in the historical records of comedy.
Yeah, she's consistently included in documentaries focusing on her communities, her fields.
Like which ones?
Well, her inclusion in these films really confirms her status as a kind of cultural historian for both Jewish and LGBTQ plus comedy. She was featured way back in the 2007 documentary Making Trouble.
What was that about?
It paid tribute to pioneering female Jewish comedians, so it linked her directly back to the influences she cited earlier: Rivers, Diller, Fields. Put her in that lineage officially.
I got it.
And then more recently, she was a central subject of the 2021 Hulu documentary Hysterical.
Right, I saw that. That focused more broadly on women in comedy, right?
Exactly, highlighting her resilience, her longevity, the challenges women face, and furthermore, her political work, her free speech stance, was actually a focus of Trevor Noah's documentary, XCLD, The Story of Cancel Culture.
So that really solidifies her role as, like, the face of the comedian's free speech argument in that context.
Pretty much. And she is clearly seen as a pillar in the LGBTQ plus comedy community. She appeared prominently in both the big Netflix special Standout, an LGBTQ plus celebration, and the documentary Outstanding, a comedy revolution. Her presence in all these projects taken together, it just confirms that she isn't just a comic anymore. She's a recognized, essential voice for multiple communities that rely on comedy for identity, for validation, for pushing boundaries.
She really is the living embodiment of that idea, that the personal is the political. And the political can also be hilarious, and sometimes has to be.
Perfectly said.
Yeah. Wow. What an incredible synthesis of careers we've just walked through. As we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to distill the unique knowledge nuggets, the key takeaways that really define Judy Gold's story.
Okay.
We definitely saw the unique trajectory, right? Starting as a music student who just took a dare.
Hey, the origin story.
Transforming into a 2-time Daytime Emmy winner for production work, which is just a testament to her behind-the-scenes professionalism and skill.
And we deeply explored the analytical depth revealed in her off-Broadway trilogy of solo shows, moving structurally from that external observation of Jewish mothers to the internal cultural commentary, using sitcom life as a lens.
Right.
And culminating in that fierce, direct political defense of her right to speak about censorship. It's a remarkable arc just in those 3 shows.
It really is. And yeah, we have to mention it again, the fact that her 6'2" physical stature is just perfectly mirrored by the sheer imposing impact of her professional footprint across so many areas.
Yeah, it fits, doesn't it? So what does this all mean for you, the learner, listening to this?
Yeah, what's the big picture?
Gold's career, I think, is a masterclass in utilizing comedy, not just as entertainment, though it certainly is entertaining, but explicitly as a vehicle for advocacy. She manages to balance the vulnerability of the personal, her motherhood, her relationships, her specific Jewish and lesbian identities, with the unwavering commitment of the political, exemplified by her very public fight against censorship.
Her success really demonstrates that versatility and conviction are not mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Absolutely. She takes the deeply observed, often sensitive details of life, the kind of stuff a character actor draws on, and uses the stage, the page, the podcast mic to argue for the freedom required to share those observations honestly, even if they make people uncomfortable.
I mean, that confidence, maybe it stems directly from that original act of bravery,
Yeah.
right? That dare she accepted way back in 1981 at Reptors.
Could be. It's set a precedent for her own career.
So we leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. Considering her massive 4-decade history, successfully transitioning from the 1990s network sitcom era of All-American Girl
A very different time.
all the way through the current fiercely opinionated landscape of cancel culture debates and peace streaming content.
We ask you to consider the profound duality in her career that we've kept coming back to.
How does the same artist successfully voice her free speech arguments, serve on a censorship board, taking on the role of the ideological fighter,
Right, the advocate.
while simultaneously playing a beloved, reliable character actor in supporting roles, often playing characters quite different from her own outspoken persona?
What does it take internally to embody the role of Eleanor Roosevelt on stage one night
Yeah.
and then convincingly play the neutral, unbiased forensic gynecologist in the Law & Order universe the next? Those require such different parts of yourself.
Her career really shows that true artistic freedom might lie in that variability. The ability to fight fiercely for your own perspective, absolutely, but also to possess the empathy, the craft, and the skill required to convincingly inhabit the perspectives of others, even those vastly different from your own.
And maybe that ultimately is the power of comedy at its best. And certainly, it's the enduring genius of Judy Gold.